5 TV shows that got home micro conversions, and 5 TV shows that should have. Licenses are always an advantageous way to sell a game because the potential purchaser comes to the game with a knowledge about what the product may contain. It could be a cartoon character, it could be a TV show. But I want to look at 5 licenses today that came from TV shows. Some of them are a little bit unusual, you may not have heard of, some of which you may have. And also 5 TV shows from the 80s that didn't get conversions that should have. Adrian Mole started off as a book by Sue Townsend and turned into a successful TV show by Thames Television. Strongly recommend the DVD, it's highly evocative and still very amusing today. All-star cast, people like Beryl Reid and so on, and John Bird in Series 2. The TV series follows the character of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4 in the first series and the book, and he has lots of different things going on in his life. His parents who are a bit dysfunctional, his girlfriend who has a very upper class, very academic aspirations. And it's really evocative today to see day-to-day living in 1982. The TV show was produced in 1986 and 1987, but the first book and the first TV series is set in 1982. So how can you convert this to a home computer? Arcade game? Well, no. Level 9 got the license, and you know the name Level 9 from Adventure Games. So how does Adrian Mole work as an adventure game? And simply, it's a multiple choice. It takes... It uses the book, basically, and gives you some of the narrative of the book, but you are Adrian Mole and you take multiple choice decisions to influence how your life is going to carry on. So it's January the 1st, 1982. It starts off fairly sedately because you're yet to meet the love of your life, Pandora, and so on. You get these images at the top of the screen that kind of show you various things to do with what you're doing at the moment. So there you go. You've got a tongue ache. What should you do? Keep quiet about it, tell your mother, or try and talk without moving your tongue. Now, these might seem very inconsequential, but each decision will have ramifications to how you carry on through the game. And by the way, some of the things in the adventure game here, you won't know from if you've seen the TV series, because the TV series omits a few things from the books for the sake of doing 6 half-hour episodes per book. So things like Brother Ludwig there aren't actually, you won't know about it. It's enjoyable enough. I think, to be honest, Adrian Mole is best experienced either reading the book or actually I think the TV series, because the TV series, I've recently watched both series. They are absolutely terrific. And the thing is then, if you've seen the TV series, then you're going to know the answers from the game anyway, so it becomes a little bit pointless. I would describe the Adrian Mole games as rather a curiosity. By the way, if you're looking to buy a physical copy of Adrian Mole, get the original Level 9 release or the Mastertronic Ricochet release. Do not buy the alternative 1990s re-releases because they've got duplication errors and the game is split into 4 multi-load sections. It's quite a big game. Trouble is, alternative put the same on both sides of the tape, so you only get sections 1 and 2. Doesn't work very well when you do that, does it, lads? Alternatives, quality duplication, striking again. TV shows that didn't get a computer game. Dempsey and Makepeace, the hit London weekend show from the mid-80s, ran for 3 series, starring Michael Brandon and Glennis Barber, who you'll also remember from Blake 7 as Sulin. Absolutely brilliant series, all action, a lot of it set around Docklands in London, all been redeveloped now. Lots of car chases and guns and all sorts of things going on. Absolutely brilliant. If you get a bit bored of A-Team smashing up American cars, then you can see Rover SD1s being smashed up in London. And you can also admire Makepeace's XR3i. Although I think it's not actually an XR3i, it's just a 1.6i. Might be just before they were named XR3is. But Chinny, I hear you cry. Dempsey and Makepeace was previewed in some magazines, and you'd be right. Released by Britannia Software, well, it was advertised by Britannia Software on the CPC, Spectrum and C64. Evidently, the C64 and Spectrum versions were never released. The Amstrad version was. And the reason you won't have heard of it necessarily or played it is because A, it wasn't very well advertised. Britannia advertised it in small adverts alongside their joystick. And B, it's terrible. So terrible, in fact, it's probably the reason the Spectrum and C64 versions did not come out. I'll properly review this game another time, but suffice to say, it's awful. It's bugged. You go between the menu screens and the audio jams up and stays hanging on one note. The graphics are dreadful, the presentation is dreadful. You are supposed to be able to play either Dempsey or Makepeace and rescue your partner who's been kidnapped, except actually you only seem to be able to play Dempsey and you'll always be rescuing Makepeace. It's a little bit like Miami Vice by Ocean. You drive around, and if you thought Miami Vice was hard to drive around in, this is even worse. It's terrible and bugged and awful and nearly impossible to handle the car. You go into buildings, you investigate crimes. This works a little bit better. It's almost like Spy versus Spy. And occasionally you come across people and you have to shoot them and you pick up clues. But it's so absolutely awful. It's bugged. And yeah, I suspect the Amstrad version was completed first and the reaction was probably so bad they didn't bother to code the C64 and Spectrum versions. We'll look at this another time, but if you do want to laugh or just want to get incredibly frustrated, you can try and play Dempsey and Makepeace on the Amstrad CPC. Unlikely people to star in a computer game. Benny Hill. Yes, there is a Benny Hill official computer game by DK Tronics, and it's called Benny Hill's Madcap Chase. And the graphics are by Don Priestley, so you can kind of guess what kind of graphics we're going to get here. Even if you're not a fan of Benny Hill, you might want to play this game. Yes, of course, the plot of the game involves Benny Hill being a sex pest. You have to run along the level, steal ladies' underwear, and take it back and put it in the clothes basket on the left there. The game is 2D, but like all the Don Priestley games, you have to jump back and forth so you don't run into objects. Now, it's not as simple as just stealing ladies' underwear. No, the lady will come running after you. So there she is. I'm not going to say which YouTuber she looks like. Bunty. There you go. Oh, and I've run into a lamppost there. And there we go. Running down there in a comedic fashion. I love the animation. You can only grab one piece of underwear at a time. Back we go, and the moment you do, the lady comes running after you and she jumps up and down on you and takes the clothes away. But you need to get those clothes back on the washing line. So back we go. We're going to steal that again. We've stolen it. And running back, she chases after you. Do you know what? It's actually quite good fun. It's rather guilty pleasure. There's not many screens, but it's just that trying to... The objects, once you know where the objects are, you can use them to run around them, and then the lady crashes into them instead of you. So back we go. I need to get back to that washing line. She's still after me now. The more washing you steal, the more aggressive she gets, the more she jumps up and down on you. I mean, what kind of plot for a computer game is this? It's bonkers. It's completely mad. But somehow, it just kind of works. And by the way, I just want to say one thing about Benny Hill from a TV archive perspective. Today, the impression is that Benny Hill is just a man who's chased around by ladies in bikinis. There's a lot of racism and a lot of misogyny as well. And yeah, that is completely true, and there is no excusing any of that. But actually, he was a very clever man, did some very clever comedy. And there is stuff worth looking at there, providing you can stomach the other stuff. Incidentally, his very early stuff, before he moved to Thames Television in the 1960s, is completely and utterly different. There's a very good podcast from Jaffa Cakes for Proust. Is it Proust? I don't know. Which talks about his 1960s series and how it's completely different and pioneering TV comedy. So check that one out. Cannonball, Gannon and Rose, as I want to make a TV duo of. Massive in the 1980s, held the record for selling out, I think it was the Palladium, the most nights in a row. Top rated Saturday night TV show produced by London Weekend. Even had their own comic strip in Lookin'. They were massive, and yet no computer game. You got a comic strip, you got no computer game. There could have been a Cannonball computer game. If Benny Hill can have a computer game, why can't Cannonball? And yes, a lot of their material, by the way, is terribly dated now, but they also do some really good stuff. This sketch with Rick Mail, go find it on YouTube. It is hilarious. It's just fall off your seat. Funny.
It's a good job you stopped me then. I could have killed your wife then. Yeah.
But no, Cannonball never had a computer game. Another London Weekend show that did get a computer game was Kenny Cantor's Play Your Cards Right. No, not Kenny Cantor's Play Your Cards Right. Bruce Forsyth's Play Your Cards Right. I've Kenny rolled you. And people watching in different countries, especially America, Play Your Cards Right is basically Card Sharks. If you're in America, certainly it's called Card Sharks. I think it's called Play Cards Right certainly in New Zealand, and I think possibly Australia as well. Massive TV show, and one very easy to convert to a computer game. You're simply asked a question and you have to name the amount of people you think would have done a certain thing. How many people? Well, we'll see. So looking at this on the Commodore 64, and there's Brucey, and he really wants you to spank his bottom. Nice London Weekend logo up the top right hand side as well. London Weekend with the ITV contractor for London for the weekends from 5:25 on a Friday night through until 5 a.m. on Monday. Was it 6 a.m. Monday morning? Something like that. Loading screen by Harrison Ford. Or H. Ford. I assume it's Harrison Ford, not going to be that many. Welcome to Bruce Forsyth's Play Your Cards Right. Enter your name. "100 Married Men. If your wife showed you a photograph of herself in a school photo, would you be able to pick her out?" How many said yes? So the computer says, and I've got to try and guess higher or lower than 58. I said higher, and I got it correct. So now we go over to the playing cards, where you've got to get higher or lower across the screen. So lower, higher. Oh, no, it got wrong there. And you can change your cards, you can freeze them. You know Card Sharks, you know Play Your Cards Right. And it's all questions like this. 100 DIY enthusiasts. Have you ever tried to fix something at home but only made it worse instead? How many retro computer people have tried to fix something at home and only made it worse instead? So sometimes you get to guess, and sometimes the computer gets to guess, and you have to say higher or lower. And then you go through to the big final game. And I've not got this far. The computer has won, so I've got to sit here and watch the computer play. And he's got to get enough points to get the star prize. But being a computer game, there is, of course, no star prize. That's game over. You just lost and watched the computer play the game for the last 2 minutes. But in real life, you get wonderful prizes like this Amstrad PCW on Play Your Cards Right here. So they don't seem too pleased. Well, they seem fairly pleased about it. They didn't win the car with the holiday. He didn't win the car with the holiday, but he won an Amstrad PCW. Back to TV shows that didn't get a computer game, and one of the finest TV shows of the 80s, 1989, summer 1989, Interceptor. 2 contestants in the countryside, dumped a few miles apart. One has £1,000 on their back, the other does not, but has a pack that's weighted to feel like it has. The Interceptor's a man in a helicopter, and he's going to shoot your backpacks and lock those packs, and he's flying around in an Augusta 109 helicopter. And oh, it's amazing. It's such a brilliant TV show. So many cool moments, lots of low passes in the Interceptor's Augusta 109. The entire thing hosted by Annabelle Croft, who's a little bit wooden, but the Interceptor is brilliant. Pays off having a real-life stuntman doing that job. And how well would this have converted to a computer game? It would have been brilliant. You can be flying around, zapping people, or you could be the contestants avoiding the helicopter. It wouldn't have to be a 3D sim, it could be a 2D thing, and you could be running along and the Interceptor could be up in the air. It would be brilliant. But no, not even Alternative could be bothered to license Interceptor. Huge shame. The Wombles is a mid-70s stop-motion animation series broadcast at tea times on the BBC, on BBC One. And you can see Great Uncle Bulgaria on the left-hand side there, famous for wielding a gun. I think it's meant to be his walking stick. But this was during this period where Alternative were picking up every cartoon licence they could. And it's coded by Enigma Variations. This is on the CPC. The Wombles live on Wimbledon Common and collect litter. And that's what you have to do in the game. This wouldn't have been the biggest licence in 1990, but the Wombles were still being repeated, so kids still would have known who they were, but nothing like the 1970s where they were having #1 hit records. Written by Mike Batt, amazingly, of Bright Eye. I'm not going to sing the song, of that kind of fame. And so, right, you have to wander around, collect the litter, but for some reason, other Wombles steal your litter. And occasionally, Great Uncle Bulgaria will ask you to collect things, and you have to put the litter in bins. Yes, it's a computer game where you collect litter, and you put it in bins. Dear me, they could have come up with a slightly bigger plot. Perhaps the Wombles home is under threat from developers, but no. You wander around a small number of screens, pick up litter, put it in a bin, and occasionally you pick up other things that bounce around. And why these Coke cans and things bounce around like this, I've got no idea. It's not very good. TV shows that didn't get computer games. Red Dwarf, started in 1988, would have been ideal for an ST and Amiga game. But no, there is no Red Dwarf computer game. Such a shame, and such a good opportunity to produce a good game. Bullseye, the darts-based quiz, and it's a UK format, not been imported from the USA, so Americans won't have a clue what this is. Huge TV show, used to be number 2, 3 in the ratings regularly, ran from 1981 through to I think 94. First of all weeknights, then Sunday nights, then Saturday nights. The only quiz show with an Amiga in the titles as well. And it's a darts game, and surely this should be easy to convert to home computers. Yeah, that's Bully, that's the show's mascot that you saw in the titles. And the wonderful thing about Bullseye is it has Jeopardy, because the contestants all win prizes, but they have to gamble at the end and they could lose everything. That's wonderful. But the first round starts off on this board here, where you select a category and then you have to throw into the category. It doesn't translate well to the Commodore 64 here. You have to go and look up and see what subjects you're aiming at, A, B, C, D, E, F. Why can't it just say what they are? The dart control method is abysmal. When you miss, you get a whole screen saying missed. We don't need that. It's terrible. If you can hit the board, you'll be asked a question. You have to type in the answer, and you better get the spelling correct, or it will be wrong. Round 2 is a traditional 3 darts on the board for all 3 contestants. So people go in Bullseye in pairs, by the way. Dart thrower and person doing the questions. So you have to, person who gets the most on the dartboard, then their partner has to answer a question. And this translates fairly well to the computer game, except the thing about the computer game is Bullseye had 3 pairs, 3 teams every game. The computer game only has 2. Don't know why. In Thomas Hardy's novel, which town is Michael Henchard the mayor? It's Casterbridge, isn't it? It's the mayor of Casterbridge, which is Dorchester in real life. Can you tell I did the mayor of Casterbridge for GCSE English literature? Got a B. B's good by my standards, by the way. Chinny to the Oki. The darts flying, it just doesn't work. If you've ever played 180, 180 is really good. This isn't. Next round is Buddy's prize board, where the winning team goes through. You have to hit the prize board to win lots of fantastic prizes. But hit the same spot twice, you lose a prize. You lose the prize where you hit it. And people used to joke about the quality of the prizes, but there were big limits back in the day about how much money and prizes you could give away on TV shows. So Bullseye always had to hit a certain budget, and the prizes did improve over the year. But Bully's prize board doesn't really work on the Commodore 64 here in the Bullseye game. You're not told what the prizes are. Bully's prize board is completely wrong, and it just does it on point. It's a waste of time and loses what appeal the game, or the real-life game, has. And then, of course, you go to the final section where you have to score 101 with 6 darts. 3 for the thrower, 3 for the question taker. And you're asked if you want to gamble. And if you gamble, you lose all your prizes in real life. And your money as well in some of the later series. But on here, you have to play the appalling darts throwing. It just doesn't work. Yeah, obviously there's going to be no sense of jeopardy, but the throwing is just so appalling. Hard luck, Chinny. You lost. Or you win. Final results, Chinny is the winner. And that's it. You don't get to see you won a car. And Bullseye would always mock you with what you could have won as well. So if you didn't get 101, they'd show you what you would have won anyway. Here you go, mate. You would have won a car. Never mind. Tough luck. But these guys did win a car. Always up to a certain value as well. Is that a Nova? Probably a Talbot, actually. I think it's a Talbot, isn't it? Talbot. It's going to rust by the time it's left Central TV Studios, isn't it? But that was the point of Bullseye. The fact there was always this risk all the way through. You could have this stuff, but you could lose it all. Not many TV shows do that. And the game doesn't capture any of the atmosphere of the TV show either. The thing about Bullseye is unique among quiz shows is it knows what it is. Jim Bowen, the host, always used to say Bullseye is the second best darts-based quiz show on TV. There's no other darts-based quiz show. So, and yeah, the game doesn't really capture the spirit of the TV show at all. So there's 5 conversions from TV to computer screen. Adrian Mole, a curiosity, no more than that. If you've seen the TV show, if you've read the book, you're going to sail through it. If you haven't, or you remember just bits of it, you might have some fun with it, but I don't think it's a game you're going to play through a second time. Benny Hill. I really like this more than I should. It's Don Priestley. It's that character Don Priestley puts into all his games. There's so few screens. It's such a simple concept, and yet it just works. I'm not saying there's a massive amount of longevity here, but it is. The game is called Benny Hill's Madcap Chase, and it is madcap. Play your cards right. This one's not going to last you very long. There's always the problem when converting game shows to computers. The whole point is the prizes and the audience interaction, all the rest of it. You don't get any of that. With 2 players, you could have fun with this, I think. But as a single player thing, playing as a computer, not much appeal. Although I do like the picture of Brucey inviting you to spank his bum. The Wombles is a complete waste of a license. Alternative just wanted to churn these things out and sell them to kids, basically. Whereas games like Postman Pat actually play really well. I always say it's like GTA Greendale, and it is. The Wombles doesn't have any of that charm. It's a very quick and nasty, knocked-together game by Enigma Variations. Here's some Wombles, throw some rubbish in the bin, collect some things. I know it's aimed at small kids, but it could be so much better. Bullseye is a complete waste of a license, in common with many of the Masson licenses, their Treasure Hunt license. I think they did EastEnders as well, just absolute rubbish. We've got a license, we're just going to throw something out. Completely fails to capture the spirit of the TV series. And a few years later, you also have Bully Sporting Darts, which again fails to capture the spirit of the TV series. And finally, all those series I said I'd like to see converted to 8-bits. The thing is, yeah, they're fantastic TV series, but you and I both know the conversion companies would have completely ruined them.